My gosh, this is a process. Everybody's got a story to tell, and I'm going to be telling mine through video for a change. I will be doing videos with a primary focus on four topics. One topic being wine, pretty much because I live in wine country. I happen to live in the Cape in South Africa. Other topics I will cover will be to do with whiskey. I'm a whiskey enthusiast as well. I've been a member of a whiskey club, the Josie Whiskey Club, oddly enough. And because I was failing to get up there to have our monthly meets, I actually ended up quitting the whiskey. I miss the boys, I really do. Um, the other conversations I'd like to have is around coffee. Well, if you're going to drink that much, you're going to need coffee in the morning to sober up. Okay, jokes, that's not the reason. It's because coffee is a newfound interest. I find it very fascinating as well in terms of the origins of coffee and the world of coffee and how it works as it pertains to the value chain in itself. And then last but not least, the stock market. Now, this one we've got to get a lot more serious about. I can't be jokey about it because I've got to give the disclaimer, I am not a financial professional. I'm not qualified to give financial advice. So all I'll be doing is sharing with you my learning experiences, what I'm doing on the stock market. And I look at the stock market as literally a place to access good companies and invest in them. That financial education is something that it's quite a key thing that we get right because we don't go to school and get taught or given some form of financial knowledge or financial education as a baseline subject. You don't get enough tools as you're growing up to say, this is how you look after yourself financially. And our financial ignorance is quite high. And that becomes all the more and more dangerous in a world where things are becoming more and more self-service. So in the past, you used to walk into a bank, deal with a teller or deal with a branch manager and get to an outcome. Whereas today, we get given all these apps in terms of doing the same transaction where I'll now have to understand a whole lot of things about myself in terms of what I'm doing on the app in itself. So why wine? Well, like I said, I live in wine country. So I happen to live in Constantia, which is a wine route in itself. South Africa has got some fantastic wines, widespread wine regions. So it's not just Stellenbosch. So when you think of South African wine, you're typically going to think Stellenbosch if you don't know any better. But I think our wines are probably the unsung hero. We make super wines in South Africa. And what has probably hurt us is somehow into the world we've been positioned as these cheap and cheerful. That is not us. In fact, some of those names, I don't even know them when I see them with a South African origin wine when I'm traveling. So that's one of the reasons I want to speak more about our wine and our wine offering. In South Africa, though, we've got the James Cedric Distillery, and they make some fantastic whiskey. I can't call it Scotch, but it is. It's the same process, but we just can't call it Scotch. Just like we can't call our MCC champagne, we make fantastic bubbles on the wine front of things. But Andy makes a great grain whiskey and he makes a great malt whiskey. And between the Baines name and the Three Ships is where you get to experience these whiskies that we make in South Africa. And they are wild. I mean, he is just throwing things out there that you can tell it's a lifetime's work because quite a lot of this would have had to start many years ago. And by many years ago, I'm talking 15 years plus. And now we get to enjoy the fruits of his labor, if I can call it that, as he gets more and more excited with what he releases to us slowly. Okay, the coffee one's an interesting one because that's fairly new that I'm a coffee enthusiast. I've always loved good coffee, but I had to go to a restaurant to enjoy a good coffee. And well, COVID came, so it took away my ability to run into a coffee shop and take my coffee on my drive on the way to the office because it's one of the things that was really quite special for me was jumping into Seattle, saying hi to the guys, they're a great crew, grabbing my coffee, and I'm out of there and I drive to the office listening to my podcast. Or similarly, you go out to a restaurant for supper or lunch, a nice cappuccino was always made at a restaurant environment. What I have learned is to enjoy a great cup of coffee, I don't always have to be at the restaurant. And I'm fortunate enough in that I'm not a milk drinker, so I'm not obsessed with the cappuccino. I more make my coffee from a mocha pot or a French press. I recently bought a Chemex, so I'll be trying that out. But I'm about the black coffee and the bean experience, and decent grinder. That's the biggest expense I made. Other than that, I didn't need the rest. But the grinder, I think, is a secret, because then you can start dabbling with the beans and you eventually find what you like. And coffee, wine, whiskey, I guess you can say I like them all, because it's the one thing I get to be promiscuous. I'm not stuck on one label. It's about experimenting, it's about journey, it's about discovery. And that's what I'm about, is as I discover, which then talks to why I like to blog, as I discover, I like to share. Because if I share it, then you get yourself an easier list of what you want to filter to in terms of what you want to try out.